Am I the asshole for causing a rift in my brother's marriage by calling out my sister-in-law for lying in front of everyone at my Christmas party? Original post. Basically, I am a 26-year-old female, and I hosted a big Christmas party at my house last weekend. What was supposed to be a fun evening spent celebrating as a family turned into a complete mess, all because of my sister-in-law, Hannah, 31 female. Now, for some context, my wife, Jess, 28 female, and I got married this past September. We wanted to keep the wedding small and intimate, so we decided it would be essentially child-free, with one exception for my half-sister, 16 female, since she is older and I had asked her to be one of my bridesmaids. Back when my brother, Alex, 30 male, and his wife Hannah responded to the wedding invitation, RSVP means Répondez s'il vous plaît, or please respond, I made sure to call and remind them that unfortunately their baby could not attend because the event was child-free. I had also already told them this earlier in the summer when we visited them. During that call, they assured me they understood and had already arranged for Hannah's mother to babysit. However, on the day of the wedding, Alex and Hannah showed up with my then 8-month-old nephew. I will admit that I tend to avoid confrontation, and I did not want to cause a scene on such an important day for my wife and me, so I let it go. About 2 minutes into the ceremony, my nephew started screaming and crying very loudly. The worst part was that they initially tried to ignore it for another couple of minutes before Hannah finally stepped away with him. Since the ceremony was on a beach, she could not go into another room. She first tried walking further down the beach, but the crying was still clearly audible. Eventually, she went back to their car and later decided to go home with the baby, while my brother stayed for the reception. Fast forward to the Christmas party. Everything was going perfectly until Alex, Hannah, and their son showed up unexpectedly. This was surprising because about a month earlier, Hannah had told me they would not be attending and would instead be spending time with her family. I was already annoyed, so when I greeted them, I pulled them aside and asked why they had not informed me they were coming. I explained that I had not prepared enough food for 2 extra people, and I also had nothing suitable for their baby. Alex looked confused and asked why she thought they weren't coming. When I explained that Hannah had told me they wouldn't attend, everything escalated quickly. Alex questioned Hannah about it, and her immediate reaction was to loudly accuse me of lying and claim that I hate my nephew. This drew everyone's attention, and the entire room went silent as people turned to watch. Then, Alex asked why she would think I hate their child, especially since, according to her, I had agreed to let the baby attend the wedding, which, as you know, is not true. I quickly corrected that statement and explained my reasoning for having a child-free wedding. I made it clear that it was not personal and that I absolutely love my nephew. I also reminded them that I had been very understanding about the situation at the wedding and had never complained, even though I probably should have. At that point, Jess started walking over from the kitchen, likely to calm things down. Meanwhile, Hannah continued insisting that I was lying. That's when I lost my temper and said, if I'm a liar who hates your child, then you should probably leave my house. Jess stopped immediately, and the silence that followed was incredibly uncomfortable. Hannah began crying, grabbed my nephew, and left, slamming the front door behind her. My brother gave me a sad look before following her out. Shortly after, I started to feel embarrassed that things had escalated so badly. Jess comforted me and we ended the party early because I didn't even know how to process what had just happened. Later, my brother texted me saying he didn't know who to believe. Apparently, Hannah's insisting that I allowed her to bring their son to the wedding at the last minute because I felt bad for trying to control her parenting choices. She's also claiming that I made up the situation about the Christmas party and that I've always had a grudge against her. My brother said he needs time to process everything and is feeling heartbroken, questioning whether Hannah is the person he thought she was. Other family members have reached out to me saying they support me, but I still feel like I may have handled things poorly at the party. Even though Hannah is trying to damage my reputation, I feel guilty for making her cry, for confronting her publicly, and for ruining the atmosphere of my own event. So am I the asshole for causing tension in my brother's marriage by calling out my sister-in-law for lying in front of everyone at my Christmas party? Key comments before reading the update. Commenter 1. Not the asshole. In the future, you should create a group text with both her and your brother so you have proof, or receipts, of whether she responds to invitations or not. Commenter 2. Not the asshole. And I agree. If she tries to message you privately, take a screenshot and share it in the group chat. Make it clear that all communication should happen in the group conversation. Commenter 3. Her statement, for trying to control what she gets to do with her baby, clearly shows her true feelings about your request to have a child-free wedding. People who lie often reveal themselves through comments like that. Instead of behaving like a mature adult and discussing her concerns with you, she chose to manipulate the situation and go behind both your back and your brother's back. She created this situation herself, so you should let go of any guilt you're feeling. Honestly, you wouldn't want your brother to be married to someone who behaves like this. It's also concerning to think about your nephew growing up in that kind of environment. If your brother decides to stay with her, then moving forward, make sure that everything related to events and planning is documented in writing, either communicated directly through your brother or in a group chat. Also, avoid taking phone calls from her. Commenter 4. Not the asshole. It's understandable that you feel compassion for your sister-in-law, especially for your brother's sake. However, you did not create this problem. If you had not confronted her about her lies and manipulation, she likely would have continued this behavior. In situations like this, it's really not possible to keep the peace. Trying to do so is like holding down the lid on a pot that's boiling over. You can hold it down for a while, but the pressure will keep building until it eventually explodes, unless the root problem is addressed. There was no way to handle this situation without someone becoming upset. You likely chose the path that will lead to the least amount of conflict in the long run, even if it caused discomfort in the moment. Now for the update. I want to start by saying thank you to everyone who read my post and tried to give me advice or simply help me feel better about the situation. I originally planned to go through the comments more carefully and reply to some or answer questions, but I have been too stressed and overwhelmed because so much has happened in such a short time. Now I have a lot of new information to share, information that has completely changed everything. My brother is now staying with my wife and me for the time being. This decision was made when he unexpectedly showed up late last night. We sat down and had a long conversation, during which he told me everything that had happened with Hannah after the party. He explained that after taking some time away from her, he asked her to sit down and talk. By that point, he already believed that she had been completely lying and that I had been telling the truth. Still, he wanted to give her a chance to explain her behavior, why she lied, why she acted the way she did, and how she could justify treating both of us like that. At first, Hannah tried to avoid the questions and manipulate him, but when he made it clear that he would not accept that, she finally snapped. She admitted that she has always disliked me, and the main reason is that she feels uncomfortable with my lifestyle. She went on to say that my wife, Jess, makes her even more uncomfortable because of how she presents herself and the way she dresses. My wife has a very masculine style. She says she was tired of pretending that none of this bothered her. There was more, but my brother said that was all he was willing to share with me. This also explained why she lied about the wedding. She admitted that she told my brother I allowed their baby to attend at the last minute, and that she had actually hoped the baby would cry and disrupt the ceremony, which is exactly what happened. She also admitted that she tried to do something similar at the Christmas party. Her goal was to make me look unstable and unwelcoming, so that the earlier wedding incident would appear differently to the rest of the family, making her seem like the victim and me like the aggressor. I always knew she did not like me, but I had no idea it went this far. I did not realize that she had such strong negative feelings about my relationship with my wife. I have decided not to tell my wife the details of what my brother shared, but I am honestly glad I know the truth now. I will never feel guilty again for calling out bad behavior. My brother told me he was deeply disgusted by everything she said and had no idea she felt this way. However, he was not finished explaining what she confessed. This is where everything became even worse. After her initial rant, she became restless and started pacing around the room while my brother sat there shocked and devastated. Then she continued confessing. She admitted that she's been having an affair. Not only that, but she is completely certain that my brother is not the biological father of the child they've been raising for the past 11 months. After pressing her for more information, she revealed that the affair has been going on for 6 years. She said it was love at first sight when she met a man named Josh, 42M, who was her college friend's older brother at a party 6 years ago. At the same time, she claimed she never wanted to lose my brother because he was her perfect match, which clearly doesn't make sense given her actions. For context, they've been married for about 6 years, meaning she's been involved in a secret, serious relationship for the entire duration of her marriage. Needless to say, I am completely shocked. Right now, I have just been spending time with Jess and supporting my brother. As I mentioned, he's staying with us because things between him and Hannah are extremely tense and hostile. They're planning to get a divorce, but with Christmas so close, everything is temporarily on hold. I understand this decision, but I cannot wait until she is completely out of our lives. As for Hannah, it seems like she's already moved on and is now with Josh, along with the baby. Overall, I am heartbroken for my brother and deeply hurt knowing how much resentment she has carried toward me because of who I am. I don't know if there will be another update. I feel completely drained after everything that has happened. Comments. Commenter 1. It is ironic how many people who claim strong moral values behave in completely opposite ways, such as cheating. I hope your brother is able to separate from her cleanly and that the child is not his. I'm sorry your brother is going through this, and I respect you for standing up to her behavior. Commenter 2. In addition to that, your brother should get a paternity test done as soon as possible. If it confirms he is not the biological father, he should take steps to have his name removed from the birth certificate before the divorce is finalized. Legally, the child is currently considered his regardless of biology, so this needs to be addressed quickly. Commenter 3. I'm sorry you're feeling overwhelmed, but she is clearly in the wrong. You did nothing wrong. Commenter 4. Your brother needs to arrange a paternity test, and if her claims are true, ensure his name is removed from the birth certificate before the divorce is finalized. Legally, the child is currently considered his regardless of biology, so this needs to be addressed quickly. Story 2. Am I the asshole for lying to my partner about having kids and laughing about it? Original post. I am a 34-year-old woman and I recently got engaged to my 35-year-old male partner. We met on a dating app 3 years ago and connected instantly. 5 years ago, I had my fallopian tubes removed. I've known since I was 15 years old that I don't want to give birth, and I've never changed my mind. I've always said that if a child somehow came into my life, I would love and care for it, but I am not actively trying to have children. On my dating profile, it clearly stated child-free and infertile. At the beginning of our relationship, my now fiancé often referenced other things from my profile, so I assumed he had read that part as well. Because of that, the topic of children never really came up in conversation. Last night, however, he mentioned that I should consider stopping my birth control now that we're engaged. He said that given our ages, we should start trying for children. I honestly thought he was joking, so I laughed. He became frustrated and asked why I found it funny. I reminded him that my dating profile clearly stated that I am infertile. He looked shocked and accused me of lying. I remember that I had once sent a screenshot of my dating profile to a friend for feedback, so I pulled up the old conversation to show him the date and confirmed that it did in fact say I was child-free. Then I explained that I had my fallopian tubes removed, meaning I can't get pregnant naturally. While in vitro fertilization, a medical procedure that helps with pregnancy, is technically an option, I have no desire to go through that process. He stormed off, and shortly after, his mother called me crying, saying that I had ruined his life. His sister sent me a long message saying that my surgery should be illegal and that I am a terrible person for leading my fiancé on. To be honest, his family has never really liked me. They believe I'm beneath him. One of his cousins even said it's because of my appearance and the fact that I'm a career-focused woman in a male-dominated field. I also earn more than he does, and we split household responsibilities equally. Because of this, I usually don't take their opinions seriously, but now I'm starting to feel guilty. His family believes I wasted years of his life and ruined his chances of becoming a father by supposedly lying about my fertility. He asked for space when he left, so I haven't reached out to him. I do love him, but I'm beginning to have serious doubts, especially considering his family's reaction. I realize now that we should have had a direct conversation about children earlier in the relationship. But was I wrong for how I handled this situation? Now for the update. First update. My fiance came home this morning and I asked if he wanted to talk. He said there was nothing left to discuss. I asked if he wanted the engagement ring back and he became angry. I had never seen him like that before. I tried to stay calm and speak respectfully, but he kept yelling, accusing me of giving up without even trying to talk things through. I reminded him that I had asked if he wanted to talk, and he had said no. He responded by saying he did not expect me to react so extremely over a disagreement. That was a major wake-up call for me. I asked him why he had never brought up wanting children before. He said it was because he thought I would react negatively. When I asked him to explain further, he kept repeating that he could not talk to me when I was acting like this, even though I remained calm the entire time. I told him clearly that I cannot have children and that I do not want them. This is obviously a deal breaker for him, and likely for his family as well. He insisted that his family had nothing to do with it. I asked why he involved them in the first place, and he admitted that he hoped they would convince me to change my mind. At that point, I told him I was ending the relationship and that I would be staying with my father for now. He reacted badly to that. Before leaving, I asked him how long he had wanted children. He admitted that he had not really thought about it before, but now that we were engaged, he felt it was not just my decision anymore. I reminded him again that I physically cannot get pregnant without medical intervention, and asked how he expected that to work. He told me I did not understand what I was talking about. I decided to leave because I did not have the energy to continue arguing, and I did not want the situation to escalate further. When I told my father everything, he was furious. He revealed that when my fiancé spoke to him about proposing, my father had specifically asked if he was okay with never having children, since I had undergone surgery and could not become pregnant naturally. My fiancé had assured him that it would always be my decision. I'm grateful that this happened before we started planning a wedding, but it still feels incredibly heavy and overwhelming. I now understand that I need to be much more direct and explicit about my stance on having children in future relationships. I will make sure to have those conversations early and clearly. I blocked this family after they added me to a group message where they were sending religious messages and calling me defective for not wanting children. I do not have the energy to engage with that right now. My father is helping me move my belongings over the next few days. I also need to speak with the landlord about the lease. Financially, I should be able to manage most of the costs, but I don't think my now ex-fiancé will be able to afford the rent on his own. The only message I have received from him since then was, "You will regret this." I don't think it was meant as a threat, but I'm being cautious just in case. Thank you to everyone who shared their thoughts. It helped me realize where I could have communicated better. This was my first long-term relationship, and while I made mistakes, I know the responsibility isn't entirely mine. I tend to avoid repeating conversations when I believe we are on the same page, but I now understand that with major life decisions like this, it's necessary to revisit those discussions. People can change their minds, and healthy relationships require ongoing communication. Final update. Am I the asshole for lying to my partner about having kids? Hi everyone. I completely forgot about this account until recently, and I wanted to come back and share a final update since things got both more intense and eventually a bit anticlimactic. A few people had also asked for an update. For clarity, I'm going to use fake names. My ex-fiancé will be called Josh, and his sister will be called Jill. Moving out was relatively easy. Josh was not there at the time, but I did notice that some of my belongings had been placed in unusual spots. I suspect this might have been intentional, possibly to make me leave things behind. Things were quiet for about a week. Then, I was suddenly called into an unexpected work meeting. My company is fairly small, and I work in upper-level administration, so meetings with the two owners, who are both a married couple, are not unusual. However, when I joined the meeting, it turned out to be a discussion about my use of company resources for personal matters. Apparently, Jill had somehow found the company's phone number and had been repeatedly calling, trying to reach me or my supervisor. The third-party service that manages our phone system didn't even have my contact details, since my role is not client-facing, so the situation raised some concerns. I'm usually good under pressure, but I was genuinely afraid to lose my job. I ended up getting emotional and explained the entire situation to my employers. Thankfully, they were incredibly understanding and supportive. As it turns out, both of them have also chosen not to have children, so they were very empathetic towards my situation. One of them, who is a retired Navy officer, even jokingly asked several times if he should personally intervene, while his wife laughed and told him that would only be a last resort. To make a long story short, I hired an attorney who helped me obtain a protective order. Jill did not take this well. She, along with Josh and their mother, attempted to file a lawsuit against me for damages. It took about a year for the case to go to court, and unsurprisingly, the case was dismissed. The judge was clearly frustrated that court resources had been wasted on such a matter. I was granted a restraining order on Josh, Jill, and their mother after presenting evidence of harassment, along with a notarized statement from my workplace. There were also recordings of the calls, but the judge didn't even need to review them. I have since blocked all of them and have no idea what is happening in their lives now. Thankfully, they have left me alone. On a more positive note, my father has been very happy to have me living with him. I think he was feeling a bit lonely before. I have continued staying with him and contributing to household expenses. My dog absolutely loves being there as well. I haven't started dating again. Instead, I've been focusing on myself. I recently began taking mixed martial arts classes and just completed a year of ice skating lessons. I'm really enjoying having more free time and feel completely content being single at the moment. Looking back, I realized there were many warning signs in my relationship with Josh and his family that I ignored, even though they should have been deal breakers. I believe I would have eventually recognized these issues, but for now, I'm focusing on rebuilding my trust in my own judgment. Until I feel fully confident again, I'm not in any rush to start dating. Thank you to everyone who shared their thoughts. It truly helped me process everything. My best friend and her husband even had a great time reading through all the responses with me. Story 3. Am I the asshole for refusing to help my mom after she got pregnant? I am a 27-year-old woman, and my mom had me when she was only 15 years old. Her parents kicked her out, and my dad left her. Since then, she has had 5 more children. I love all of my siblings, but this background is important for context. My sibling after me was born just 2 years later, and the youngest is now 14 years old. The last 2 were the only ones born when my mom was in a stable relationship and older, but she and her partner, Steve, divorced years ago. The main issue is that I am the oldest in a large family with very limited resources. Except for the time when Steve was around, we mostly survived on my mom's minimum wage income and government support. It was always expected that I would help raise my siblings and sacrifice my own needs because everyone else also needed support. I started working at a young age, attended community college, and later transferred to a better school. Throughout that time, I continued living at home and contributed financially by working as a waitress. Now I work at a multinational company and earn a good salary. I'm finally able to enjoy life a little and also help my family financially. For years, I have wanted to move out. I always planned to continue sending money to support my family, but my mom would convince me to stay by saying my younger siblings needed me. I helped 2 of my siblings apply to colleges, secure scholarships, and eventually move out. Eventually, I made a deal with my mom. I would stay until my youngest sibling graduated high school. After that, I would move out but would still provide financial help. However, I also made it clear that she would need to take on more responsibility, especially since the household would soon be nearly empty. I even planned to continue helping with rent, groceries, and bills. But now, my mom is pregnant again. She has only been dating this man for 2 months, and she showed me a positive pregnancy test on Friday. I admit that my reaction was not ideal. I told her that I cannot handle having a baby in my life again at this stage, and then I left. I've been staying in a hotel ever since. Since then, my mom and my youngest sister have been constantly calling and messaging me. They say she needs my support and that this is what family does for each other. I responded by asking my sister to tell my mom that I would still honor my previous commitments. I will continue supporting my siblings financially, and they don't need to worry about that. However, I do not want to be involved in raising another baby. Now my younger sister is calling me an asshole for abandoning them during this situation. I have told her that she is welcome to stay with me once I get my own place. My mom is also calling me an asshole. She says I am refusing to support her when she's about to have a newborn in her 40s and that I am not willing to help with the baby's expenses. I do not have many people in my life to ask for advice, but I have read posts in this community before and hope to get some perspective. So, am I the asshole for leaving and refusing to take on financial responsibility for the baby, or continue helping my mom beyond what I already promised?